computer. Why are we doing this again?
Did we do this again? Oh no.
Or is it the same night? You'll never know.
You'll never know.
CJ, I think you got a haircut between last week and now, so
I also did, but
you, you can't
can't
tell.
see it with the hat.
Haven't gotten a haircut in 130 days.
But who's counting? You know?
Sorry, 129. Here we are. Welcome back, bookworms and listeners. You're here because we've been on a journey. The journey did come before the destination. The destination is almost upon us, and that destination is Wind and Truth coming out this week, which is the week of the 2nd for those of you listening to this after the week of December 2nd, 2024. So
we are 3 days away from being 8 days away from knowing how the contest goes.
But you don't have to wait 8 days.
Well, you got to read them.
Get the book. You can just
you got to read them.
Yeah. It's like the spiritual realm. Time passes for you differently than for the characters.
Oh man, I always think of that end game thing where it's like time, you put time through you rather than you through time.
that was a lot of fun in the movie. That was a good movie.
That's good.
Okay, we have spoilers. We'll just go ahead and spoil all of the Cosmere. It smells, it's spoiled Cosmere. That's what it is. Welcome to the Spoiled Cosmere Show. Our guest hosts today, again, are CJ from Cosmere Quandaries, as well as Trevor from Sandbox TV Official. Please go check out their channels. Trevor, in particular, just released a wonderful video, his second part of Adapting the Cosmere, where he takes you breakdown by breakdown of how the cinematic universe for Sanderson's works is going to happen, and he does an amazing job.
Just my take on how I would do a slate that's kind of like vis-a-vis the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And it works. It works really well.
It's your diagram.
Yes, and it's at the Sandbox _official because the Sandbox was taken, but
dang it, Sandbox.
Whatever.
Yeah,
you never get to play in the Sandbox.
Yeah,
dang
so that'll be linked down below correctly this time.
That's funny. That's funny.
So a few weeks ago, when they announced the low number Wind and Truth bundle pick numbering line, I read the email incorrectly and thought that it was going to start at 10 a.m. It does not. It starts at 10 p.m. on Wednesday in Utah.
That's
so if you're
super
going to
late.
Nexus, you're going to Nexus. You want a number between 1 and 1,000, and you already bought the book bundle, right? Which comes with the Zeph pin, the Chol plushie, the Epic bookmark, and signed and numbered Wind and Truth. You can line up starting at 4 a.m., but you are not going to get a number until 10 p.m.
That's right. It's legally you can't line up before 4.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
People
right.
will probably illegally line up. They always do. There's always somebody out there at midnight.
Is this the only way to get the book a day early if you don't have a bookstore that's putting it out the wrong date?
Um,
You don't even get it. This is for the number. This is a
just the
ticket.
number.
This is just the ticket number.
You don't even get a
Yeah.
book.
You're just waiting for the piece of paper with a number on it.
Last year they
Are
put
we
One through
cryptics?
1,000.
they put a number on your badge. They
Nice.
showed that at the pickup, and they went and grabbed that number specifically for you. Now, if you don't stand in line, but you still got the numbered Wind and Truth bundle, you're gonna get just a random number above 1,000. That's how this works. If you don't care about your number, don't show up. That's fine. Don't come say hi to me and my friend Alex and potentially Trevor. No, he just said he's not going to be there. That's fine.
I'll wait in line with you.
Okay, cool. The Sanderson collector is going to be in there. He and I were talking about that earlier. Speaking of the Sanderson collector, he did just put out our collaboration with him, Silverlight Guide, Cross, Sanderson Collector, we started ranking the merch that Dragonsteel has on their website. So go over to the Sandboxes, the Sanderson Collector. No, go check out the Sandbox, then hop over to the Sanderson Collector. Check that video out. It was a lot of fun. It's part one of part two. Part one of two. Well, there's going to be a lot of edits tonight. No, I'm not going to edit those things out. Cool. Okay. Cool. Badge pickup happens 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Wednesday or Thursday morning.
Don't do that.
at
Don't
Next.
do that to
You
yourself.
don't do that,
That's
but
going to be
there are
awful.
enough people. I heard last year enough people went the day before that the morning of wasn't as bad. It wasn't that bad.
Nice.
So
I will stand in line for those who cannot.
The line waiters.
yeah, the line waiters, the line dancers, the
Line
edge
dancers.
waiters,
Ooh,
line
line
dancers.
dancers. I like that.
Start doing the can, or the boot scoot boogie.
Boot scoot boogie.
Yeah, Nashville gets it. Oh wait, you probably don't want to know. You probably don't want people to know where you live.
Oh, you're
Wait,
fine.
you don't live in Nashville.
I don't live in Nashville.
Yeah.
Now they know I don't live in Nashville. That was my cover, Alex,
Damn,
and it's
I can cut that.
blown.
I can cut that.
Unless that's a double blind, and I do live in Nashville. Who knows? The
Have you
world-
PJ
been to
lives
Mam-
in Nashville, confirmed.
Have you been to Mammoth Cave in Kentucky?
I have not. I've heard of it, but I've not
It's
been
really
to it.
cool. But if you go there, get tickets beforehand because they sell out.
Are there
Sounds right.
mammoths in it?
No, it's actually just the largest cave system in the world. In
So it's a
Kentucky.
descriptor.
Yeah, it's a
The
descriptor,
mammoth cave.
not an attribute. Wait,
I was picturing like a frozen mammoth in it.
I know,
Descriptor of the
But
contents.
thanks for nothing, Alex.
I know, but it has a really rich history.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's where they got the saltpeter for making gunpowder before before and during the Civil War, and then some experiments for tuberculosis went on there. And then it's really cool because the way that the cave has formed is that it stays about 50 degrees year round because of the way that the air cycles through it. And so when you go and it's really hot and humid outside and there's cold, dry air coming out, there's a layer of fog that you can just dip your head up and down through. I have a video.
Oh,
I'll show you at Nexus if you want. It's so cool. I went back to work and the geologists at work were like, "Holy crap, can I have that to show my class?" It was
that's awesome.
really cool. Like just a clear cut line. It was like Sazed was saying, "Not past this limit." There's something wrong here.
It's fascinating.
Okay, now that they've forgotten about where you live, CJ. What else is there? Right, so you're gonna pick up your badge Thursday morning, and you're gonna walk right over to booth 225 to come say hi to me, and grab some stickers and badge buddies, and subscribe to our. Well, you're probably already subscribed. If you're subscribed and you show us, you get a badge buddy for free. FYI.
Oh,
So.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can subscribe at our booth and show us. That's how we give away the badge buddies, FYI.
nice.
So come there.
If you
beyond
see
that-
me in the wild, I have bookmarks.
But don't
Dude, really?
but don't answer any of his questions, because if you get them wrong,
Deal or
So-
death.
I heard you had shard blades. I heard you had a Oathbringer that was gonna,
Oh, no, that's not me.
you know.
Oh, right. The trivia questions that are not going to be trivia questions at
Oh, yeah.
225. Yeah. Yeah. I've got stickers that might give you a paper cut. I don't think I put blood on any of them. That was a weird thing.
What?
to say.
What?
Um,
What's next, Alex?
I think that was all I put in the outline for the book
Cool.
part.
My contribution is I think it's fascinating that I never put together that we have an everything we know about the unmade panel happening after Wind and Truth comes out, but before anybody's had the chance to read it. And I'm like, I feel like this book is going to tell us a lot more about the unmade.
I almost was the moderator for that panel, and I think they looked and saw that I had bought my World Hopper tickets for that time, and so they kicked me off of it. And instead stuck me on writing horror, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Hey.
And
Yeah.
don't forget to sign up to come see me talk about Mistborn Era 3 with Melinda, that Cosmere chick, and Jordan from Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, right. Yeah, CJ, shill your panels real quick.
Oh yeah, we got recapping the Stormlight Archive and theorizing with Danny Mata and Brooke from Cosmere Conversations. That's going to be 12:30 the first day, and then Breath Hacking is on Saturday. I think around 11-ish. I don't know. A lot of people are interested. That one's
Yeah.
theoretically sold out, but I'm sure you can still walk in. They're not checking for those tickets, but it means that a
Breathing.
lot of people are interested. There might end up being standing room only type seating.
Yeah. Breathing room only, right?
Ah, that's a good joke. I gotta remember that. I would not
Thank
have thought
you.
of that in the moment.
Yeah. No, that's for free. You can take that. That's payment for coming on our podcast,
I love it.
which is now a video. I don't know. Is this still a podcast? No, I guess if I still put it out as a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I submitted a panel, but they didn't accept me. So
You submitted
I
a
put out
panel?
a video instead. The video I put out is what I would have done in the panel, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
But it would have been more interactive. Like let's build a slate together.
Which is
Any oh good.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say any last minute guesses at what redacted is on the schedule?
It's gotta be an adaptation announcement, like you guys said. I think you guys are spot on.
I
That or a video game.
Oof. I'm gonna
Or
take
Legos.
the other. I don't know if it'll be Legos because they talked about that in one of their latest intentionally blanks. I think it's gonna be theme park or not theme park. It's gonna have something
Ooh.
to do with the Dragonsteel, like the
The
little
headquarter thing.
headquarter thing they're making,
Yeah.
and potentially something with land. It's got something with land is what I'm guessing. They're gonna recreate the Shattered Plains in Utah. Yeah.
Is there some sort of like word pun with the word redacted? Because I feel like that's something that they would do. We'd be like, oh, it was so obvious. It was right there.
Acted
Not that I can-
is in the word.
Oh, acted. You're right.
Acted. Yeah.
It's a musical.
I think Griff and I have done an episode on why Warbreaker would be a great musical.
I don't know
good
why,
one.
but my mind immediately went to Shadows for Silence and the Forest of Hell, and it's a Muppet musical.
Yeah. I
Who's
love it.
the one human?
I mean, it would have to be Silence, right? Or some other random person. What's that other guy's name that's in it?
Um,
I don't know. It'd have to be Silence.
Oh,
I
the
think.
the bad guy, right?
Not making it
Yeah.
Silence would be very anti what the novella was written for, which was like badass femme fatale characters.
that's
Or
true.
like that collection.
But
So
then
they're
Miss
like,
Piggy as
A
Silent.
silence would be pretty good. Yeah, I can see it.
I think the one human could be the grandmother,
Yeah, I was
Could be
thinking that
Silent's
too. That's a
mother.
good. That's a good one.
or Silence's daughter. Either one would be good.
Mhm.
I like forget who's in that book besides for Silence and like the bad guy.
Yeah.
Ooh, if you wanted to go like really thematic, all of the men are men, and then all the women are Muppets, because it was all about like badass woman story. It'd be a little bit of a metaphor there.
Could be. Yeah.
See
Yeah.
that. I can see that.
Anywho,
Yeah,
sorry to derail
I
this.
think whatever it is, he announces it at the release party. That's what
Yes.
I think it'll stop being redacted after release party. That's the
Yeah.
only real prediction I
Yeah.
can make.
Yeah, that makes sense. At some point, it has to be unredacted, and then they're not going to wait till like right before it begins.
No.
Or yeah, that would be such a fun Sanderson. He loves that stuff though. The
Yeah.
But
mystery.
he
It's
but
so
he likes to
hard.
announce it, so he'll announce it
I
at the
know.
launch
It's
event.
both. It's both. I know.
He
Yes.
loves the theatrics, and I love it.
No.
Dang it, Sanderson. We gotta wait 3 more days for it. 3 more days at this time. We'll probably find out. Wait. Yeah. 3 more? 3 more. Trace. From when
Three
you're
days
listening to it,
more.
was that is that an
Les
actual
Mis.
song? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Les
Yeah,
Mis. One
yeah,
day more.
yeah.
But what? Yes, but no.
That's yeah.
Yeah, it's a parody, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've all heard Sanderson loves parodies.
Oh,
That was bad. We made a Sanderson sticker. My wife made a Sanderson sticker of Sanderson holding his parrot.
aw.
So come stop by our booth and see the Sanderson sticker and purchase it.
It looks really good. He showed me.
Oh, thank you. I did, didn't I? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I think we should probably get on with it. Tonight's are
Let's
not
do it.
long, but they are intriguing.
Yeah. Meaty.
Meat E. Like Wally, but with extra meat.
Meat L-E.
Oh boy. Yes. I gave absolutely no thought to how these voices are going to go, except I went and listened back to what's going to happen in Interlude 4 from. So. All right, here we go. Interlude 3. L. L, who had no title, stepped up to the Kolinar Palace vault. 4 regal singers had been placed there as guards, a position of honor. Hopefully they would not fall too far after this. You will open the vault for me, L said to no rhythm. They didn't question. That pleased him, as he never liked to kill mortals who served well. Their emotions did them credit. Still, he'd assumed they would know not to obey orders from him. He'd thought the 9 would have made that clear the moment he was reborn, but they were distracted with their war. So, unwitting, the 4 regals hummed to subservience, unlocked the doors, and opened them for him, bowing. When he entered, their leader, an envoy form, hurried in after. I am to accompany all who enter, Great One, the regal said, bowing again. Pardon my intrusion. What is your name? El asked. Heshual, the regal said. One of our names, El said, strolling through the small chamber, which someone had begun to line with aluminum sheets. What was your name before? It was Govi, Great One. Do you miss your old name? No, the regal said. So timid, El said to no rhythm. You were passionate enough to become a regal in this return? Heshwal hummed to tribute, which was a ridiculous rhythm to use for this exchange. El picked through the room, ignoring stores of gemstones, seeking a specific item. He stoked his annoyance, cherished it, as all emotions should be. He did not channel it at this regal, however, for El understood the reason for the timidity. It is all right, El said. I assume one fused noticed your passion and put you up for elevation. But since then, others have reprimanded you for standing up for yourself. Now you don't know the proper way, because society is in shambles and my kind refuse to be proper role models. The regal hummed to craving, a sign of agreement and wanting more treatment like this. He got that rhythm right. My kind wear thin, like shoes walked upon for too many miles, El said softly. My honor was stripped in part because I warned of the signs. We cannot rule much longer. He found what he was seeking at last, on a shelf near the back of the vault, a specific gemstone still attached to its dagger, Yezrian's prison. El took it off the shelf, reverent. Be careful, Great One, the Regal said. That is a dangerous weapon. Oh, I know, El said, taking one of the new anti-stormlight gemstones from his pocket. He lifted it up, appreciating Raboniel's handiwork. Then he touched it to the tip of the dagger, which pulled the anti-light out and sent it into the gemstone prison. Great One, the Regal said. That... El held up the gemstone where a herald's soul had been trapped. It flashed as anti-light met light, and Yezrian was at long last destroyed. Not so much of an explosion, barely enough to crack the gemstone. There hadn't been much of Yezrian left. Now, even that was gone forever. Goodbye, old friend, El whispered to no rhythm. Then he looked at the Regal, who gaped at him, horrified, Fierce Bren appearing at his feet. That imprisonment, El said, tossing the dagger away, is a punishment none deserve. We shame ourselves by trapping instead of destroying a herald. He held up his anti-light gemstone, still almost full. Yes, you were already nearly gone, weren't you, old friend? The prisons don't work on humans as well as was thought. The poor Regal was cycling through rhythms like a person beset with madness. The soul of a trapped herald had been by far the most valuable thing in this vault. You should run to the 9 right now, El suggested. If you are quick, they might not punish you. The fault is theirs for not warning you about me. And perhaps I bear some fault for being me. Naturally. The Regal scrambled away, calling for the other 3 to watch El and not let him leave. Fortunately for them, he had no wish to depart. He settled down on a bench at the side of the chamber, wondering at the way many had changed names. Was that a glorious recovery of their ancient roots, or a betrayal of the culture they'd possessed in the absence of the ancients? Before more guards arrived, he felt a presence overshadow him. Odium. What have you done, servant? The familiar voice asked, vibrating El through his gem heart. An act of treason by one of the fused. El did not reply. He considered that voice. It was almost right. Well? I see you, El replied softly with no rhythm. I know you for what you are, and what you are not. The old Odium had come to hate being challenged. Perhaps that was why the fused were so erratic. After thousands of years trapped on Braze, unable to fulfill his plans, their god had become erratic first. The new Odium pondered. Who are you? Ah, I see. Yes, curious. I had not paid enough attention to you, El. Do you have his memories, then? El asked. I can view them if I desire, though I do not see why you would name Yezrian a friend, yet destroy his spirit. In all your divine wisdom, El said, you cannot imagine a situation where a friend deserves to die. The new Odium laughed, a legitimately joyful-sounding chuckle. Curious. In a blink he appeared beside El and waved a hand, slamming the vault door to lock out approaching guards. This Odium was human, elderly, and did not care to make himself larger than El to intimidate him. That was more than curious. That was impressive. I have a problem, Odium said. Would you help me solve it? As a test? El asked. Or a legitimate need? Let it be both, Odium said, strolling through the vault, studying objects one at a time. He wore the enveloping clothing many humans preferred, covering most of the body, never letting skin or carapace through, a way to display the ornamentation of skilled labor. I would hum to subservience, El said, if I had rhythm still. I will accept that, Odium said. I have a plan to capture the entire world, and am confident in my ability to secure Thalena and Shinovar. As for Azir, my predecessor left an army that had been heading toward lasting integrity, which I was able to turn. It lacks fused, and now lacks surprise, but I think it should be sufficient to claim Azimir. But the Shattered Plains trouble me. I believe, El said, you have sent great numbers of fused to the location. Is that odd of me? Odium asked, pausing beside a stack of gemstones, each large as a fist, on a shelf. I have been told, El said, that the term to use with a divinity is not odd, but inscrutable. Odium smiled again. He tapped each gemstone in turn, and they glowed with void light, soft purple on black. If you have sent so many fused, El continued, and continue to worry, then I'd ask what is so important about a wasteland. Thalena is a trading hub, important for controlling the seas. Azir is the seat of an empire, and great cultural and scientific development in this area. Both greater prizes, both facing lesser armies. One might guess this is about proximity. For example, getting those fused to Azimir in time might be impossible. And you are confident in your plan for Thalena, so a reasonable person might assume that you sent the fuse to the only remaining location of note. Are you reasonable, El? Rarely. Once again, Odium smiled. I would like to bring further forces to support the Shattered Plains. How would you do this? How much of a cost am I to assume I'd be willing to pay? A steep one. Then you already know the answer, El said, as the solution is a part of you. Diagonarthus is dangerous to unleash, Odium said. Despite that, El said, if you require an Elsegate, she is the sole option, unless you have access to corrupted Else collars or a proper honor blade. I have neither yet, Odium said as he walked back to El. You have traveled with the Black Fisher before. Yes, he said. Most of the lands you'd want are still protected from her touch, but Natanatan, perhaps. You would need a strong source of investiture on either side, and someone to lead your armies. Odium studied him. I see you, El, for what you are not, and for what you are. El bowed his head. If you serve me, Odium said, you may need to kill more of your former friends. My friends had their chance. When left on this world, they enslaved my people. The heralds deserve annihilation. It is a mercy. Odium nodded. I dub you. No titles, please. Odium hesitated, and El saw danger in his expression. So, he was not immune to the rage, and being cut off by someone much lesser crossed a line. A worthy experiment. Very well, Odium said. I name you ruler with no title. You will take leadership of my armies to assault the Shattered Plains. Travel to the peaks via Shanae Im, and I shall send Diagonarthus to you. Use her particular talents to take the garrison at the peaks and cleanse the Shattered Plains in my name. I will pay her price another time. This left many things unsaid. Why Odium was so interested in the Shattered Plains, how he knew that there would be enough power to connect them to the well at the Horneater Peaks. The solution to both unsaid questions was likely the same. El again bowed his head. The Nine will not care for my elevation. And what are your thoughts on the Nine? I think of them little, and when I do, I think little of them, Master. Then they report to you, El. Help me claim this world. If I do, can I rule human lands for you? If that is your wish, I will grant it. Excellent. El bowed. I will not fail, lest I be destroyed. El, I do not throw people away for failure unless it came about by their negligence. Adopt this policy. Even in failure, it is often not the tool, but the wielder who is at fault. The god began to fade, evaporating to dark mist. His voice lingered. We have much work to do, not just on one world, but many. Fascinating. El had walked in here expecting imprisonment, probably execution and forced rebirth. Instead, it seemed he was leaving with an army, a promise, and a new god who might at last be able to conquer the entire Cosmere. What an enchanting day. In his head, he began to compose a poem to celebrate this new god he was delighted to worship. Someone who, he suspected, would know the value of what he had, and would let El help humankind finally realize their true passions. He put Yezrian's former prison back on the shelf, then tossed his anti-stormlight gemstone into the air and caught it again while walking to the doorway, enraptured at the thought of how the Nine would react. The end of Interlude 3.
Nice.
Indeed.
Where could I go to read this poem that he is composing?
That will be posted approximately 15 years from now, after enough people ask Sanderson at a spoiler Q&A what the poem was.
Oh, I was being sarcastic. I think it's the epigraphs from part 5 in Rhythm of War.
You think
Musings
so?
of El. Oh,
That's
but
fair.
that's not the first day. That's weird. That might have been a Sanderson mix-up then. Because the epigraphs say Musings of El on the first of the final 10 days.
There's
true.
the interludes don't necessarily coincide with the timeline
days.
in the book, so
That's
it could be
fair.
like a flashback. So
That's fair.
yeah,
They've never
It's
been
not like this is
officially
going
stated to
on.
be chronological. That is accurate. That's fair.
yeah. It's not like this is like definitely between day 2 and 3. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think, because that's the epigraphs or the musings of El on the first of the final 10 days.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Is that a poem, though? I mean, I guess it is.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'd have to go back
One
and look.
who's rhythmless.
Maybe that's his idea of a poem.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, he has no rhythm, so
He just needs Phineas and Ferb, man. They'll help him
Yeah.
out.
They really will. Yeah, I mean, it does say, I look forward to ruling the humans, and then Musings of El on the first of the final 10 days.
Yeah.
But, I mean, but this isn't a poem for Odium. This is just him saying he wants to rule the humans. So,
Yeah. The last line is nearly as much as I look forward to serving you, newest odium.
oh, dang. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So that's where I'm seeing the connection
Yeah.
to it.
Dang.
And to be fair, we do know that while the book is written in English, technically they aren't speaking English. So the rhythm, in the same way that I don't remember the name, but the name is considered a palindrome because of the fact that H is used as a substitute for any letter. So the fact is, we may be having a translated version of the poem, but it might actually work a lot better in whatever the native language is.
yeah.
Huh. Do the interludes take place chronologically, or
I mean, Trevor's got a good point. They've never officially been said to like, but I mean, I think the implication has always been that they occur chronologically.
But the epitaphs may not be.
Yeah.
yeah,
What was the name of the first L one?
the first
Or it was just it was the epigraph.
Yeah, it was part
It wasn't
five's
an
epigraphs, the musings of El.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
the epigraphs have never been stated to be chronological. So
well,
we
yeah,
could easily have been getting the portions of the poem long before chronologically L wrote them in the story.
Yeah, yeah. He refers to it, or Sanderson referred to it in text as on the first of the final 10 days.
Oh, yeah, I
Um,
see.
that's where I'm getting the timing of when the poem. So, and he learns in this interlude that odium is a new
Right,
odium.
right, right, right. Yeah, yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
I see
he
the
probably
confusion.
writes it at least after this, and so um, either this is day one and we've just gone back in time a little bit, or there's a mix up. And which, as an aside, did y'all see that he hot patched Lift's chicken because of how it talks about it? So in Wind and Truth, Lift is looking for her chicken, and in
Right.
Rhythm of War, she's walking around with a chicken originally, like what we listened to and read. And within
Yeah.
the
Right.
last 6 to 9 months ish, Sanderson edited the Kindle and the new editions. Instead of Lift was walking around with a chicken, Lift was walking around asking if anybody had seen her chicken. So
Interesting.
he is rewritten now that Lift lost it at the end of Rhythm of War, not in between the end of Rhythm of War and the start of Wind and Truth,
Why?
because he wanted it to be missing, right? But he and I'm sure he meant for it to be missing, but just a flub.
Hmm.
I mean, it wouldn't have been hard to just write in the fact that she had lost it in the interim between. That
Yeah.
wouldn't have necessarily been the hardest thing to explain, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
because
with
the
it only
print
being a
version.
few hours, right? Like if he'd had even a day of like space he could work with, they'd be like, oh
Yeah, that's
yeah,
fair.
while
That's
she
fair.
slept.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Weird.
Huh.
Okay.
This,
This
gosh, what's going
interlude.
on with L, man? Is L gonna be our big antag for Odium out in the Cosmere?
Mm,
Certainly wants to be.
he doesn't want to
Quite
be.
possible. I mean, and that might actually lead to L being Odium's champion rather than any of the other possibilities.
Yeah.
I think that window is still wide open for a lot of people to end up being Odium's champion, honestly.
Yeah.
I actually, I'm gonna go ahead and say this now. Uh, I'm calling it. I'm calling it before anybody else. Dalinar is
Hear
gonna
it.
lose the contest, but instead of just being Odium's general, Odium is going to use hemalurgy to spike both L and Dalinar to the same body. And Dalinar and L are going to go out into the Cosmere and rule the humans of the Cosmere.
What a specific theory that I have no evidence to refute.
Now my question for you is, are they going to be two brains in a single-headed thing, or are they going to be like an Etten where there's two heads that are going to be arguing with each other?
Yes.
Two, their spirits are gonna fight each other over who gets to control the body. Up until era 4 of Mistborn, and then they're gonna come to a realization that they should die. Then they go,
Odium's like, I'm
Gosh.
conflicted, so you guys have to be too.
yeah, perfect, perfect. But no, not really though.
That does bring an interesting topic up though, Alex. CJ, I texted them earlier today about it, but curious what you think about this. If Dalnar does ascend to honor and he loses the contest, does Odium now have the Shard of Honor to do his bidding, or is it nullified because honor did not take place in the contract to begin with?
I
Like if
think
the
the
contract is between Shard and Vessel, right?
Yeah.
If they both
Oh
have
yeah.
to be, because we know that Odium's
Well,
using loopholes because he has a new vessel, which means the Shard still
well, no,
has this
no, hold
like.
on. We know that Odium is using loopholes because the vessel is willing to use loopholes. Because it was not
Is that
like it was not an official part of the contract. I don't think Odium would have actually had to technically keep to it either if he didn't want to.
well? But Hoyd writes this off, I think, at some point, saying like he technically you can, but there will be consequences for you down the line.
Right.
Maybe
So
Taravangian's more willing to take those consequences, but it sounded to me
possible.
like I don't know. CJ, what did you read in that moment?
Yeah, I think in the same way that um Taravangian is currently bound by what the previous vessel and shard agreed to, I would think that Dalinar, if he was united with Honor and then lost the contest and had to become Odium's fused, Dalinar the vessel becomes Odium's fused. Now, does that separate him from the shard because he has to die and become a cognitive shadow to become a fused? There's a lot of like weird stuff that could happen there. I
Yeah,
don't think
actually,
it's good.
I think he would have to give up because, um, well, because when we saw Vin take out, um, Ruin's vessel
Mhm.
and, what's his name? Oh wow, I'm not good with
Sazed?
names today. Sazed was there to take both preservation and ruin. I have a feeling that if Dalinar's vessel was slain to become a cognitive shadow, that would absolutely separate Honor's shard from the vessel.
Yeah. I think
Because
the
of the
death
fact that
would
we
be
also
a
saw the
big
thing.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what would separate it. Like I do not think that a shard can stay fused to a vessel after death because Taravangian was there to take up uh Odium when Reyes was slain, and then both with Preservation and Ruin when Vin took out Ruin's vessel along with herself, the shards were both separated. So I do not think that Honor could stay fused to a vessel that was slain.
Yeah. I'm on board with that.
Cool.
We've got a hint about Daigon Arthas.
We do.
Seems to
Yeah.
be else calling power.
Huh.
Are there any surges that manipulate emotions? This is not. This is only slightly tangentially related to Daigon Arthas.
I don't think so.
Right? No.
No, Odium
No,
has
not really.
capacity, but it's not through a
But the
surge.
yeah, the
Right,
thrill kind of
yeah.
does it.
The
But again,
thrill.
that's not a
But it's not a
surge.
surge, right? It might
That's
be
an
void
unmade.
binding,
Right,
perhaps.
right, right. Might
Sure.
be a void
Yeah.
binding because it's of the passions.
Actually, that's really interesting to think that some of the core abilities of certain investiture magic is emotion manipulation. But the surges, which are kind of supposed to be primal, like core abilities, don't have anything to do with that.
Cool. Yeah, Daigon Arthas. Some sort of what did Els say? An else
Gate.
gate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so potentially an else color, or maybe this is one of those things where it's an else color with a enlightened spren, and so it manifests itself differently.
Yeah, an
Yeah,
unmade Oathgate, perhaps,
pretty
or an
much.
unmade
Oh
Oathgate
yeah,
spell,
yeah.
something like that, or some concept of transportation that was unmade at some point.
I'm
It kind of makes sense
curious.
too because the ink spren are the oath gate like
Mhm.
guardian spren too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious how the oath gates were made because we know that they are Inkspren, but clearly they're not just regular Inkspren.
Right.
But they
I feel
apparently
like
still possess their Oathgate abilities even after they become enlightened. They can just they're not really bound to do it for the Radiance anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious how the Oathgates came about.
And then
well,
how one was unmade.
Well, it might be similar to the sibling, right? So we have a Spren choosing to manifest physically permanently in that Oathgate form, and then similar to the sibling gets filled with the wrong investiture, gets corrupted and
Hmm,
unmade,
Yeah.
something like
maybe.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious how, like, I would really love to know, like, was it because of the agreement the Inkspren for the Oathgate made? Because obviously there's also clearly has to be two of them,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
is also unusual because obviously with Else Callers we only see a single Inkspren.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like a Mistborn thing where one's push, one's pull.
I
Hmm.
was just wondering that. Yeah,
Oh,
one's
yeah,
sending
okay,
them
yeah.
out and one's
In the
receiving.
back.
Yeah,
Mhm.
probably. And I wonder if it was because of the oath they made to serve the Radiance that allowed them to gain more abilities, because clearly they're not bound to any Radiant. They're bound to the Oath Gates.
Do, do I go? This is switching to Odium for a minute, if
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
I had
fine.
the observation that it's really funny that we have this like Odium level 20 super OP cannot pass a single deception check to save his life. Cannot get past Hoyd, cannot get past L. Like within a minute, they're like, now who are you? Who are you? Stop it. I just think that's so funny.
It's funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
He
okay.
took a perception check
Yeah.
penalty after
Uh-huh.
gaining the rage powers of Odium.
And also, Yezrian's alive, technically, sort of, was for a little bit. That's crazy.
Was,
It's
yes,
super
yes, he
weird.
was. I think that is the operative word.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Was.
then in collects epigraphs for part 4 of Rhythm of War, he states that Yezrian died.
Well,
Well, maybe
they
he
felt him
believed.
disappear.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
maybe him
connection. The same
being.
way yeah. This way Bam
Mhm.
was sealed off in the
Sure.
sphere.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Probably the
Yeah, I
same
was
way.
about to say, like, I believe his soul or whatever being trapped in the gemstone probably severed his connection in any way that they could feel.
Sure. But then
What
how did
does it do? What does it do to your like soul or like just your being when you're trapped in a like can you still think while you're in there?
Well,
Or
I
you
had
just
a
like
hmm.
if
I don't.
and the reason I ask is because like if you're like frozen, maybe that's why the dead eyes are kind of like frozen a little bit as well. Because
Do we know if
Bam,
Spren can still think if they're trapped in a gemstone?
Yeah. I mean, they're able to respond to, I mean, Spren aren't the normal Spren aren't really
Right,
sapient
right,
in
and
terms of thought,
Fabrials.
but they
Right,
like
yeah, no, it's
respond. They like their names. The flame Spren
Bippy.
were like the Bippy, yeah, whatever.
yeah. So yeah,
Were like responding. So yeah.
I would say that probably the soul of whoever it is can still think or is probably still conscious in some way, but in the same way that Spren are trapped in Fabrials when they're, unless they're specifically designed to let them in and out, his
Hmm.
soul was probably trapped in a way that was cut off from any other kind of connection.
Yeah.
And considering there was none of him left, I wonder if it kind of like pieces of your soul bleed off in the same way that Stormlight uh,
Mhm.
slowly dissipates from a gemstone, unless it's the perfectly cut one that they trapped uh, whoever did the thrill in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nergal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So unless it's
Nergy.
perfectly cut one like that.
But why?
And then
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, what's your money on El Yezrian flashback in this book?
In this book,
In the spiritual realm, right? So Shallan or Renarin or Dalinar.
Oh, yeah,
uh,
maybe. I was thinking as might be part of an epilogue, but no, yeah, I could definitely see it as being a memory they stumble across
I
in the spiritual realm.
I would love to see more Yezrian in a flashback. I wonder how many flashbacks you can do before that starts to lose its charm.
yeah,
Well, and I'm sure some of it is Taln and Ash's flashbacks in,
Yeah,
books
yeah, that's true.
7, 8,
Yeah,
9,
yeah,
etc. So
definitely Ashes
it's
because he's her dad, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So definitely another one.
So it'll be interesting to see how Sanderson balances that in this book versus the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good
Next
question
several.
about how much of what we're getting right now is going to be resolved in this book and how much of it is set up for Stormlight Era 2.
Yeah, I feel like some of the flashbacks will be a lot of answering those mysteries that we've had throughout this first arc. And I feel like one or two of them is gonna be like, wait, what? And then we're not gonna get answers to that until the back half.
6 years.
So I'm
Yeah.
definitely
See you in
conflicted on
20
these.
years.
So,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
here's
God.
my question. So we've had a decent portion of the book to read before the release of the actual book. And
Yeah.
so far, very little of it has dealt with Shallan's heritage as potentially a child of one of
Because he
the
changed the prologue. That's why.
yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Well, so here's the thing. So here's the thing. How much or do we think that actually we won't be resolving that issue in this book and it will be something that carries on to Era 2?
Her truths have to be done in this book. I will riot if
Yeah.
her truths aren't done in this book. Like,
Fair.
Yeah.
like,
And she's gonna
we
be like a
don't know.
Cosmere.
Yeah, if there is any,
Yeah.
oh, actually, there's still this one mystery about Shallan's backstory. I'm gonna throw that will be my actual throw the book across the room moment.
What if you find out that like she does go world hopping and she's like in Mistborn Era 2, but as an illusion?
Sure, right?
She is everybody in the Cosmere.
Mind blow.
Yeah. Well, that was at one point
I am
somebody
the
made the
Cosmere.
guess. Yeah, I think somebody had talked
Yeah.
about Hoyd like sleepwalking on Scadrial. It would be funny if it was Shallan as Hoyd on Scadrial.
Oh,
I
that
don't
would
think
be
so,
entertaining.
but it
Where
would be
Hoed
funny.
wasn't actually there; it was Shallan masquerading as him the entire time.
That would be actually
It
kind of
was
cool.
me
Like
the whole time.
if Odium gains some agency and Hoyd becomes scared of him, kind of like what we were talking about last week. What if Shallan becomes his fourth apprentice and he just like sends her like, I need you to go on this planet and look like me for a week. Just throw them off my track.
That would be. I can see
The
that.
Night Brigade is after me. Go.
That's true.
Yeah.
And they become alternate personalities that lose their connection to Hoyd, so the Night Brigade can't track Hoyd through her. It's perfect. It's a perfect setup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do we think we're
What
going to
could
get
go
any action from Risen being one of the Dawn Shard holders in this book?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta be something.
We're gonna get one page of an interlude, and that's it.
Wow.
It's
That
and
is
what
very-
it is it's going to be confirming, and we already know this. It's going to be confirming that it's not the Dawn Shard that Sigil takes up. That's the only thing that one page interlude is going to confirm. Is going to do with Risen.
Where's this glass half empty coming from? Come on.
So here's an interesting question: if the Dawn Shards are as powerful as people make them out to be,
Yeah.
why hasn't
Yeah.
Hoyd brought them up as a potential weapon for Dalinar to take up against Odium?
I feel like he fears them being together
Yeah.
more than he fears Odium.
too powerful.
He doesn't even like trust himself to have all four together. You know, that's why he turned down a shard.
Oh, not
He's
all
definitely gonna
four.
turn
I'm not
down.
necessarily saying all four, but even just grabbing one of them
Oh.
seems like it would be an potent.
Well, I think that's what we
Weapon.
should learn in this book is what can Risen actually do with it.
Yeah,
Besides
that's
just hearing
that's what I'm
voices.
curious because
Without
clearly
any-
she can.
Nothing.
Clearly, she sees colors as in somebody with the what is it? The first
Third heightening,
the third heightening.
or was it whatever heightening?
Whatever, yeah. Whatever heightening gives
Perfect
you
pitch.
the ability to see brighter colors and the perfect pitch. And we know that it has to do with change, and that's about all we have at the moment.
Right.
I think one of the longer theories that I remember with Risen for this book was that she would use the Dawn Shard to change Odium from his intent of like this wrathful, God's like fury to just passion.
That'd be sick.
Like kind of make him a little bit more
That'd be an
benevolent.
interesting one, yeah. So
Yeah.
here, hot wild take.
Wow.
Risen is actually going to be honors champion.
Oh my god.
And so Dalinar is just not going to be in the picture
Wow.
whatsoever.
You heard it here
He's gonna
first,
be-
folks.
He's going to be stuck in the spiritual realm this entire book, and Rizen's going to take up the position as
Oh my
champion.
gosh.
Rizen's like, I'll take the ring to Mordor. I volunteer as tribute.
Actually, though, that'd be kind of cool. That's hilarious.
One does not simply
She
walk.
comes flying in on Cheery Cheery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Flight.
yeah.
Flight of the Valkyries
Who-
starts playing.
Who sucks in more investiture, Nightblood or Cheery Cheery?
Over
Nightblood.
Nightblood for sure. Yeah, okay.
I would say pretty.
Considering that Nightblood absorbed enough things to like slay a vessel of one of the shards, I say
Fair.
that beats out anything Cherry Cherry could do.
Fair.
yet.
Yeah, I mean, maybe at some point when Cherry Cherry is much more matured, that would be a possibility. I'm not entirely sure, but
The
definitely
side-
at this point, Nightblood beats out Cherry Cherry.
Dude, could you imagine Thydakar with like an army of Cheery Cherries? Just sucking all the investiture, like, I got all the goodies and
Yeah.
you got nothing.
Oh my god. All right, that'll be a plot hole for every single book after this. Why doesn't Thydakar just get Cherry Cherries? That's simple. Why can
I don't think it is.
why can why can Dyken not go to a lot of the lands on Roshar?
Is this a
I mean,
pun?
No.
Oh.
It did
Question.
sound like the setup to a joke.
yeah,
I
it did
do
almost sound like
appreciate
the
that.
setup
You're
to a
like,
joke.
your sneaky smile. I'm like, what's going?
I would say it's probably a similar like oath binding that's keeping Odium tied to Roshar and things like that. Like almost everything seems to be some sort of oath or agreement that is, binding someone in some form or fashion.
I have an idea.
Oh,
That might be dangerous.
What do you got of the CJ?
well, we're like 99% certain ish. I am 99% certain ish that Marays and Oriatil is a corrupted Elsecaller. Like that's how they bamfed out of the Ghostblood's den. And he says
Right.
here, I don't have access to corrupted Elsecallers. And I'm like, wait a minute. Odium, pay attention to your world, man.
But
So I mean that makes sense. It's just interesting to process
Yeah.
that like that maybe was a piece on the board that Marays took off the board by
I mean,
Going
well, we
into
do
the
know
spiritual
that.
realm.
Isn't she working separately from Odium?
She
Yeah, we do
is.
know that what's her name is playing both sides. And we also know that the Ghostbloods are definitely not aligned with Odium. They're doing their own thing.
Okay,
So
That's what I want most from this book is just to know what everybody wants. Like, just all the motives and objectives for all the groups. I just want to know.
was the
What's
yeah,
the
because weren't the Ghostbloods just working on getting Stormlight off Roshar? Like
I'm
that?
Yeah, but some book mentioned that the Rosharan Ghostbloods became like their own rogue nation.
yeah
So
Lost Metal? They say that Eatil's running amok on Roshar.
Okay. I missed that at some point, which I mean that's fair. I honestly probably just forgot.
which like if it's not to outdo Thydakar and like take over, or like I don't know what she wants.
I mean, she may have realized the wealth of powerful things that are available on Roshar and is just trying to set their branch of the Ghostbloods up as a Cosmere power rather than being subservient to Kelsier.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
That's at least that. Like, if you just ask me right now, based on the evidence that we have, what she's trying to do, that's my initial idea. But obviously, Sanderson could write in something else if
Yeah.
he so desires.
Yeah. I think so bear with me. This thing with Dagon is bothering me. So out of all of the Oath Gates, the only one that was unlocked was the one at the Shattered Plains, right? Which would be at
yes.
Natin, right?
Well, I mean, That's not the
Well,
only
they-
one
they
that's been
unlocked it
unlocked.
first
though,
with the
because
shard
that
blade,
was
right?
the only one. That was
It was the first one unlocked.
It was left unlocked, is
It
what
was
I think
left
Alex is
unlocked.
getting at.
Oh, it was left unlocked. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry. I
Like-
see what you're saying.
like
Yes.
you don't have to send you didn't have to use no, what was it? Does it?
Well, they did
Well,
have
you
to
had to use a
use.
shard blade.
They did have
It
to use
wasn't
a
locked on Eurytheru's side.
That's
Is
right.
like all of them were locked on both sides, except for the Shattered Plains one wasn't locked on the Eurytheru side.
Yes.
So if you had found one of the other ones, it would only send you to Shadesmar.
I don't think you could use it at all. I don't think you could, because when they were trying to use the oath gates after they had unlocked it on the Eurytheru side, it just wouldn't send anybody to the other oath gates. So I just don't
then
think it
what-
works
what-
unless both sides are open.
What unlocked the others when they found you
sent-
with Theru and the sibling?
They sent Kaladin to one of them, didn't they?
Yeah,
And
they basically had to send the Radiant to both
And
sides.
the Dustbringer was from Taravangian's gate. She
Right.
was already over there, and she unlocked it on their side.
Yeah.
What book is this in? Is this End of Words of Radiance or
Oathbringer.
Oathbringer.
Yeah,
Oathbringer.
Oathbringer mostly is where
So-
they talk
I'm
about
literally just re-listening to it now, so
Nice.
that's
Hmm.
So what if go away notification. So what if there was an extra locking mechanism? I don't know. It just bothers me that Daigon Arthas can go to the one at Natin and can't go anywhere else. And then
Yeah.
I think that there's some other unlocked or locking ability of the Oath Gates, and that was also left unlocked from Eurytheru to the Shattered Plains. So that's why
yeah, that would make sense why Taravangian is so interested in taking over the Shattered Plains versus the other locations.
I have a theory on that too. And that theory
Yeah, why does that seem to be the most important place for him?
that I feel like when Honor comes back, it's going to be right there. It is going to be it's going to be on the Shattered Plains.
Oh, interesting. So that would make sense because of the fact of that was where the Everstorm and the High Storm first clashed.
Oh yeah. Good foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, the shattering happened there. There's also like the other thing I'm thinking about is it's the only non-settled place. So there's maybe
Right.
something about population being there. Like it would be too dangerous for Daigon. I mean, Daigon Arthas doesn't need to go from any of Odium's seats of power. So like regions where Odium already is given over to Odium, the same way people can be given over to Honor or given over to Odium. Maybe those areas are protected because they can't enter them because they're not given over to Odium yet. I don't know.
Well,
Okay.
to be
That could
fair,
work.
it was also the ancient place of one of the cities.
Mhm.
And so I don't necessarily think this is as likely an idea, but it's quite possible that there is still some sort of treasure stored there that Taravangian is after.
Honor.
I mean,
He's
could
been
be
there the
Shard of
whole
Honor,
time.
yeah.
It turns out he was there running bridges the whole time. That one
Yes.
old guy that died, that was Honor. I just never knew it.
Dang, not
Honor was
again.
the friends we made along the way. Have y'all heard that joke
So
about Rings
Di-
of Power? Because it kind of is the best joke ever.
No.
So have you
I've
seen
not
Rings
been
of
watching
Power?
Rings of Power.
I've
so.
watched the first 2 episodes of it.
Okay. Well, do you mind if I just spoil something?
Um,
It's
By
fine
all
if you
means,
do.
I'm not going to watch it, so.
I'm fairly
It's fine
certain
if-
I'm fairly certain I understand the story insofar as what the spoils might be. Trevor, do you care?
Nope.
Okay,
Okay.
go for it.
Dear listeners, give me about 30 seconds. So the whole thing, Sauron's there the whole time, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
the joke is the real Sauron was the friends we made along the way.
Yep. Absolutely.
True. So
Yeah.
Daigon Arthas was the unmade behind the scouring of Amia, right?
They think so, right?
Yeah.
There's an epigraph that
And
references that.
Hessi's
what
Mythica.
what was that event? The scouring of Amia? They just disappear?
They
No, they took
They're all
away
killed?
the fabrials that made it be pretty and livable, and they like took all the soul casters and killed all the Chiri Chiris.
damn.
Hmm.
Yeah. I just listened to Don Shard this weekend where they like is the most talking about it I've ever heard on screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, all of y'all re-listening to Stormlight stuff, and I'm over here stuck on the Dresden Files.
Love it.
Love it.
I can't get over it. I'm like, I gotta listen to James Marsters talk in my ear a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, to be
He's
fair,
good.
he is a phenomenal narrator when it comes to those audiobooks.
Yeah,
I actually did find it funny how much Bob sounded like Spike for like a couple of those first books before he kind of found a slightly different voice to give him.
yeah,
Okay, does he get better after the first few? Because I did not like the
Yeah.
first few.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, he
I
does.
couldn't listen to it.
Book 4
I kept hearing
onward.
him go like, I
Yeah.
went down the street and then
It gets
Yeah,
a lot
no,
better.
I
no,
was like,
it's
okay,
yeah.
I can't do 3 hours of this or whatever.
It got a
He
lot
he
better.
definitely improves.
Yes.
Okay,
Although
good to hear.
he does mispronounce words. The word Jotun is not Jotun, it's Jotun, and I will never
How
forget.
about blanket?
One of those was comedic and not for money. I didn't pay. Nobody had to pay to hear me say blankant. That they got that for free.
That was the funniest thing. Oh my
Yup.
God.
Actually, we live in a capitalist system, so they had to pay for the internet and the power.
There is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
What about the library? They could go to the free
Oh
thing.
gotta
God,
drive.
don't even get me started
Gotta
on
drive, gotta pay gas.
it.
That is my favorite thing is like to try to like imagine pitching libraries in today's political climate.
Oh God, it
The
would never go
government's
over.
gonna buy books and put them in buildings.
Yeah, no,
That's
there is no way that this, if it were not already an established concept, there's no way that libraries would be founded today.
Yeah, no.
Everybody would be complaining about a misuse of tax dollars, and it.
Remember, folks, go support your local libraries.
Yes, please.
They'll probably have a copy of Wind and Truth sooner than later.
Yeah, probably.
You'll have
Actually, what I found
to
interesting was how many fiction books university libraries actually pick up. Because I worked for a
Hadn't thought
university
about that.
library for a while, and there was an extensive horror section, especially. Don't know why horror books were so requested, but apparently
because
we
they're
had almost the. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I said because they're the king.
Well, I was about to say we had almost the entire Stephen King collection. That was that was exactly what I was about to say.
I can read your
You
mind.
guys wanna
Go to the next
Apparently.
move on to the
one.
second one?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, timekeeper. Thank you for keeping us on track.
The line waiter or line
Line,
dancer.
yeah, the line dancer. Interlude 4. The Wrong Lesson. Taravangian could save them. Oh, that's not even the right sentence. I can do this.
Blankant.
Taravangian could save them. All of them. He strode, unseen, through Kolinar, now capital of a growing Singer civilization. He could see this whole land and knew its new leaders were not perfect, in that they were no worse or better than the humans. While many of their policies were more egalitarian, this was also a people who had been enslaved. He felt their complicated emotions, both wanting to be better than their slavers and being enraged at what had been done to them, sometimes lashing out. That rage was his greatest resource. With it, he would bring order to the entire Cosmere. He held his hands to the sides, feeling the rhythms of the crowds who passed him, unable to see their god. He was still the one divided, a mind that wanted to plan, a heart that fought against that calculating coldness. Right now, the heart wanted to simply accept peace, but it could not abandon Alethkar, not after all the work these singers had done to claim it and build a home. It was theirs. They deserved it. That was the logic speaking. People were in pain. He could retreat his singers to Yakaved and there be content. Yakaved had basically no armies. How would he bring order to the Cosmere without armies? Did he have to? Yes, he did. Back and forth, back and forth. He partially wondered if this was the reason cultivation had positioned him to be elevated, in giving him his curse and boon for so long, to create a person who could legitimately connect to the power of odium and take it, but one who would then be made impotent by the two warring sides within. He thought of her, and she appeared. Cultivation had not given up on him, and would not do so easily. Together they stood in the center of a major thoroughfare, palanquins lumbering past, laborers hurrying by in clumps, tradesmen shouting out wares, human and singer living together in a delicate balance, uncertain, like the one inside him. "Would you like to see," she said, "what I can show you?" He calmed his rage at her. Wisdom dictated that if she wished to give him something, he should at least witness it. He nodded. She led him to gaze upward, toward stars only they could number. He stood rooted on Roshar. He could not visit these places, but he could see them. With her help, he was given a new perspective on how she thought it should be, each shard in their realm of influence, governing their own lands. "It does not have to be one god," she said. "One solution will never work for all. That was part of why we had to do what we did 10,000 years ago. Let them be, odium." He saw something different from what she wanted him to see. He saw that gods could indeed be afraid. Of him. The power of odium, with his predecessor, had killed several of them. That version of him had been too brazen and had left itself wounded in a clash. Taravangian could certainly do better. "Taravangian," she said, "do not learn the wrong lesson. See." He saw. Gods who turned away from him, content to let the danger stay trapped. Interestingly, they considered all three of the gods on Roshar to be a problem, and were happy to leave them to their conflict. This was perfect. Isolated as the others were, he could watch and prepare exactingly how to defeat each one. Only one of them held 2 shards of power, but that one was unable to function properly. Odium's predecessor had never taken a second shard of power for that reason. "These can be defeated," he thought, seeing the permutations of possibility. "They will regret ignoring me." He kept his thoughts from cultivation as she tried showing him peaceful nations on many planets. He instead was most curious about the fact that 2 of the shards appeared to be missing, completely vanished from interacting with the others. Hidden. One he understood with some effort. But Valor? Where had Valor gone, and how did she hide from even his eyes? The tour over, he and Cultivation pulled their focuses back down to Roshar. The greater Cosmere was a part of Taravangian's ultimate plans, and had to be. But for now, this people here, this world, had to be his everything. "You worry me, Taravangian," Cultivation said as they stood unseen among the people of Kholinar. "If I can admit it, you always worried me. I knew what I had to do, but I wish it could have been any other." "If there were not something to fear about the person you chose," he said, "then they could not have taken up odium." "There is a chance, a solid one," she said, "that you will do what is right. I would not have taken this step otherwise." "You are correct," he agreed. "I will do what is right." "Do not be so smug," she replied. A part of you knows this path you've started on is a terrible one. Listen to that part of you. Give it a chance. And despite himself, he did feel it. It was the part of Taravangian that loved his daughter and grandchildren. The part of him that had grieved when forced to manipulate Dalinar while trying to break up the coalition. It was the part of Taravangian that remembered being young, uncertain, dull, yearning to do more to help his people. That was the Taravangian who had been given the chance to have anything he wanted, and had wished for the capacity to stop the coming calamity. In a moment, Taravangian felt as if he were that same man he'd been long ago. Very well, he said, turning from her, not in shame. He would not accept that emotion now, but in compromise. I will try. He was a god divided. What if he let each side rule in turn? The end of Interlude 4.
They always try to teach the wrong lesson.
I think going off of what we were just talking about with the economy, if we throw in some politics for good, hello
It
there.
is fine. You can put a Sisebron laurel wreath on me real quick.
Oh, is that why you've been growing out your hair?
It's one of the reasons among many. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice, nice. Are you also gonna,
Yeah.
snip the tongue?
This is post end of Warbreaker, which I guess, I mean, gosh, we talk about cosplays that are fundamentally spoilers. Gosh, Syrian Sisebron fully healed is a bit of a spoiler, technically, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
But that
Gosh.
book has been available online for free, barring
So
paying
was
the internet.
So was Zeth and Nightblood.
That's true.
Yeah.
So the God divided, what if he let each side rule in turn? If we just look at politics in the US, I think we can see what will happen.
Great
That's all I'm
things,
going to
right?
say about that.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
So I have figured out how to solve this entire war. Is that they should just go back to the way things were, except that the singers form a union.
Do you? Is that? That sounds right.
Sure.
Yeah. You.
Yeah.
Why not?
And then you can have some of the. We're not going to go down that road. I think that's a good.
I do think cultivation gives a good hint here that Odium is truly, like, his perspective is, well, if I can just be the only god, everyone's devoted to me by default, and now I can make the perfect world that I want. I mean, this seems to make that more text rather than just subtext to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. But I mean, obviously, if this is not in this media particularly, but tyrannical rule making the perfect world is a theme and storyline I think we have seen before several places. So
No.
Also,
shocking, I know.
Also, another wonderful hint that wisdom is going to be revealed to be the final name of the shard that's
Yep.
missing.
Yep.
Wisdom dictated that if she wished to give him something, he should at least witness it, right around the time when we have a reference to a shard that Odium understands but cannot see. Feels like some good wisdom foreshadowing to me.
I've always liked Prudence, which is like
It's good.
he's
It's a good
also
name, yeah.
referenced because it has a level of like cautiousness in there, which would
Mhm.
explain why they're hiding.
That's true. I'm still salty over autonomy being named autonomy, but
Yeah.
because I don't personally, I don't think that that's an accurate representation of what autonomy represents. But
Sure.
as I said, that's my own personal pet peeve. I'm not saying anybody has to agree with me.
It's funny.
Well, what's weird is that in the beginning, the shards all kind of agreed to go their separate ways and reside over their own planet, which, like, that agreement has a level of autonomy to it. But maybe that's why she's the only one that followed the pact afterwards. I don't
Not
know.
the only one, but
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
not the
because
only one.
obviously I
Yeah.
think Ambition stuck to its own planet before calling Mercy to help with a fight against Odium. But
Yeah.
and then Virtuosity, Whimsy is
Virtuosity.
probably on its
Yeah.
own planet.
Endowment.
yeah,
Invention seems to
yeah,
be by
Endowment
itself.
definitely was by itself.
Yeah. Well,
But
Endowment's
I was
I always
we should be
that's Warbreaker.
yeah, but that
Yeah.
she was the one that wrote saying we should all just be one shard per planet, right? So
I always thought
Yeah,
that the
that makes
final
sense.
one might be something along the lines of self-preservation, but
we already used.
Well, that's
It
kind of what
also-
it is.
It's also interesting. We got one of our only on-screen descriptions of why the vessels thought they needed to kill Adonalcium, right? That he was
true.
the one god that, how does she put it? That was one of the reasons why we had to kill the predecessor. Where's the language?
I would love to see that flashback in this book, but I understand why we have to wait.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah,
like
it does not have to be one god. One solution will never work for all. That was part of why we had to do what we did 10,000 years ago. So it seems like maybe Adonalcium was pushing for a one solution, one way for everybody, and the vessels.
Well, I think his way just was the way, and they didn't like that one person was deciding it. I wonder if
Yeah, that-
Adonalcium had a vessel, or if it was just like one three-dimensional being.
That's a great question, right?
wait.
actually, here's an interesting question: was Autonossium's vessel, if there was one, did it even necessarily have to be a living being?
Sanderson's not even confirmed it's a person, right? He's been like,
Right,
maybe
yeah,
it's a
it could have been a
place.
place.
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, I feel like in my head, what I've always pictured is Autonossium was almost something kind of like a techno-organic being.
Yeah.
Of some sort, part of it artificial, part of it natural, all of it containing the massive investiture of all of the shards.
Sure.
C'est un peu quoi, non? It's like unknowable.
It was
at this
interesting to me. There was
stage.
one part in there that said that the other shards, not fear, but they kind of well, maybe let's use that term. They feared the three shards of
Mhm.
Roshar,
Yeah.
just as equally as Odium or something along that line. Is right, where they're just like, just let them do their own thing. We're not going to
Yeah.
help them. Which I wonder why that is. Is it because they're the only ones that had a planet blow up or destroyed? Or was that
That's
just
fair.
solely Odium? I don't
That's
know.
fair.
Well-
Odium did help, help blow up a planet.
Here's the thing that I also see is that in terms of power, the Knights Radiant definitely sit above most other investiture users in the Cosmere. And so if something like Honor or Cultivation and Odium, all three honestly, had access to creating the Radiants in some form or fashion, then I could definitely see that as being a reason to fear their power over the other shards and what they have access to.
Mm-hmm.
Because the healing of the Stormlight plus the surges plus the shard blades and the shard plates, I mean, one-on-one, there's no way that any other investiture user, except maybe a breath user with a massive number of breaths, would be able to stand toe-to-toe with a Knights Radiant.
What about a misting that can take away investiture?
Even then, I wouldn't say that would necessarily do things for much, or wouldn't be able to do much, because even without Stormlight, I think they'd still have access to the Plate and Blade.
What about I'm just kidding.
Like, are there rare cases where with preparation or something, they could take down a Knight's Radiant without much problem? Yeah, probably. This is like the Batman Superman situation. Like, with preparation, yes, there are certain situations that you could put a Knight's Radiant in where they would lose easily, but just going toe to toe with no other factors involved, I don't think there's any other investiture user in the Cosmere that could stand up against a Knight Radiant.
Hmm.
I mean,
Um,
any? I'd give a full Twinborn burning for speed, for especially if they have ATM.
I mean, when you have to
Right.
get that specific, I feel like the Knights Raiders are
I'm
gonna
just
Well,
win
saying.
because those are rare.
Okay, yes, but we already know that ATM burns quickly. So, like, would they be able to stand toe to toe with them with some time? Yes, but there is absolutely no time limit on Shardblade and Shardplate if, like, born from Spren rather than the dead blades and plate that they had before.
sure. Isn't it great to be a Knight Radiant?
Because I mean, we
You
even
just stuck
see
on
that, like,
Roshan.
the
Well,
ATM
I
mistings were lost against the Kolos army. Like, they were able to hold out for some time, yes, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Trevor?
I was gonna say I feel like it is fair for them to be as powerful as they are, given how much effort it takes to get that powerful.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm not saying that it's an unfair level or whatever. I'm just saying
No,
I
yeah,
think
I
it's a
know.
valid reason for the other shards to fear the three Rosharan shards because they all have access to Stormlight and Spren. So
I believe you mean the three Roshardans.
God.
Okay. Beyond that,
Okay.
we get we get some talk of other shards. We get to see. Do we think? Are we gonna see? Like, are we gonna see Taravangian in every set of interludes? Do you think? Is it
It
gonna?
feels like a
It's
pattern, doesn't it?
possible.
It does feel like a
Mm.
pattern, but I mean, I guess we'll find out in
All except for the last
2
one.
days. Yeah, all except for the last one, where it'll be just Odium. No, wait, it'll be Unity because Honor and
Mm,
Odium will combine into that.
yeah. Their picture is sick, though. The two Taravangians holding the swords and the
Yeah,
boss. Good.
it's really cool
Yeah.
and terrifying, actually. Those are
Terrifying.
ugly. Uh, okay, we have for the arches, we have for the first one we have Yezrian and somebody else.
Nail.
Thank you.
Nail.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. He has Rian
All right,
dies in the
Oh,
first
is that
one.
I was looking for his
is
scar on his cheek.
is it Nail because we're killing a Radiant and it's like Nail kills Radiance? Is
It
that
does
why
seem
it's
like that
Nail?
Oh,
way. Yeah,
I thought it's because
justice.
L is like judge, jury, executioner.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Just yeah. I think both make
justice.
sense.
By the way,
Judgment.
I'm gonna enter my nail miniature into the miniature competition. So no matter what
Yes.
happens, I can say that I nailed it.
Yes.
Because
So
my wife's
happy that you
definitely
brought
gonna
that
win.
in.
My wife's definitely gonna beat me at it. Um,
That's funny.
okay, and then the second arch is Trevor. Do you want to do this one?
I think it was the Edge
The ladies,
Dancer.
right? Is that
Yes.
Pylia and Batar?
It was just one of them, and it was the
Oh, is it the same one?
yeah.
Gosh, I hate Aphantasia.
I think it was the Edge Dancer one. Cultivation spread.
Yeah.
Sure. That makes sense.
And that cultivation being in it makes sense.
Yeah. And
Pulling it up
healing. I don't know.
could be. Trying to see what the read alongers are saying. They're saying, yeah, her attributes are loving and healing. Her role is healer. They say this is a very interesting choice. My theory is that she's here because cultivation is prominent in this chapter, attempting to influence Odium towards a more compassionate and loving stance.
Makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
She's trying to heal his mind
Yeah.
or his mindset.
CJ, what was your favorite moment in these interludes?
Think this is the first one that I haven't had like an immediate standout. I would say just watching Elle interact with Odium was really interesting. I really enjoy seeing more of him coming onto screen.
Sure. Griff, what about you?
Honestly, mine was pretty much the same. I liked getting a little bit more in depth of a look at Elle because up until this point we had what a few lines from his musings and then one scene with him versus with the pursuer.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so being able to see a little bit more of this person and see what they wanted, what their goals were, was really interesting. So
That is cool. Trevor, what about you?
Yeah, I like seeing Elle, but anytime I get to see two shards talk to each other, I'm always like
Yeah,
paying close attention. So probably like the second one, just as much for that.
sure. Yeah, I liked I imagine he had to cut some words out. I imagine there was more poetic writing when describing what Odium was seeing of the different shards out in the cosmos.
Yeah.
But I like that imagery that they're standing um in a busy street, nobody sees him, and he looks up and then all of a sudden he's seeing different worlds. That's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Valor is hiding despite their intent. And it makes me wonder if maybe they're hiding on purpose as like they're planning an ambush or something.
well, discretion
Like
is the better
it's
was the better part of valor.
yeah,
Sure.
or maybe
Ooh.
it's like it's hiding for the offensive, you know,
I
not
was
because
just
they're scared.
quoting the famous saying, discretion is
Yeah.
the better part of valor is a common phrase.
I bet it's in the spiritual realm with honor, and then you combine the two into unity. Boom, done. Easy.
Of course.
Easy. Why
Yeah.
were we worried?
Yeah.
I mean,
You-
honestly, honor and valor would probably be two of the shards that would work well together if they were stuck in the same vessel.
Oh, absolutely.
I could see that.
yeah,
And young Gavinor is gonna take it up.
absolutely. Absolutely. And absolutely crush Dalinar with it.
So do we think that along with Lift, do we think that Gavinor is going to be a main player in Stormlight Era 2?
There's two options.
Yeah.
He's either a big player in Stormlight Era 2 or he dies at the end of this book. There are no other
Those are
options.
the two options.
Yeah,
That is
that's
very
fair.
true. Actually, he retcons it in day 9. Gav never existed. It was all Shallan.
Yeah. It's all Shallan.
Have y'all ever
That's
read
her
Will
final
White's
truth.
Cradle
I am
books?
Gav. Son
No,
of the
I
Black
haven't.
Actually, what we
Dawn.
find out is
Or-
none of Roshar existed. It was all Shallan.
So
Oh my
Will White in all of his after like book 3 or so, he includes bloopers at the end of all the books.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no
The-
way.
100% there would be, if Will White was writing this, there would be a blooper that's like, Gav looks up and is realizing we're all just Shallan. Always have been.
Somebody please make that a comment, like a comic. That'd be so funny. Oh man.
Actually, Renarin gains enough truth-seeing power to see that they're all just words on a page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hoyd like turns the last
And-
page like,
yeah.
oh my god, we're in a bloody book. Rust and ruin.
That's funny.
They break out into the real world and reverse isekai.
Oh my God.
Oh my god. They appear at the ball.
Well, I mean,
They will.
Nexus.
They'll be there.
They will
yeah,
be
they
there.
probably will.
Yeah.
As a brief reflection on our time doing this series, how impactful has this been on your journey with Wind and Truth? I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I've
certainly the
enjoyed.
closest. Yeah, go ahead, Griff,
No, no,
please.
go on. You started first.
I was going to say it is certainly the closest I have ever read any of these books, right? Like taking them, having multiple conversations each week about them has been super awesome. And so it's been really fun to feel it this close.
Absolutely. Griff?
Oh, and I was just saying that, yeah, like honestly, getting a chapter a week is not a terrible way to do a book. Like, yes, I'm always eager for more content and things like that, but being able to take a chapter each week and break it down and actually look at what's happening without the capacity to read ahead or the story being more available is honestly kind of interesting. Like, I think this would be very different if we had read the book and like if it had been like a reading club or something, we were only talking one chapter ahead. Like, I wouldn't be able to stick to that. And there'd still be possibly some osmosis information out there about what came later. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Trevor, have you enjoyed your time?
Oh, I've enjoyed it greatly. I get on fights online about whether you should read the preview chapters or not, because some people are just like, you absolutely should not read them. Wait for the book to come out. And I'm always just like, you see, like, I hate the binge model. I hate it. I hate like the Netflix, like, here's the show that we've been hyping for forever. You're gonna watch it in a day or two, and then no one's gonna talk about it. I like the episodic model because it keeps the conversation going, and like CJ said, you get more into it. You read it once, you have your thoughts. You read it twice, you start speculating, and so this is perfect because you get a good chunk of it. I think we got in like maybe close to 30% of the book, and now when I get it on Thursday, I'll have no regrets just binging the rest. I'll have gotten like kind of the sweet spot of both. I'll have no guilt just
Yeah.
like binging through it. Um, and, discussing this with you guys has helped me retain a lot of the information because I
Right?
feel like if I had just read it as fast as I would,
Yo.
um, I would have just like by the time I'm on day 9, I'll have forgotten what happened in day 1 or 2, and like all this. It's a big book, so all the callbacks will like go over my head. So this is
yeah,
super
honestly,
helpful for me and my goldfish memory.
that's what I had to do with when Lost Metal was coming out is I actually had to go back and re-listen to all three of the original Wayne and Wax and Wayne novels because I had forgotten like 90% of what went on in those books.
Yeah. So how about you, Alex?
Oh, it's been wonderful. It's been a joy. Uh, don't let it stop. I'm just kidding.
Do we still do we still want to continue this with like each day?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good plan. That's a solid.
Yeah,
We could try for 1 day per week. I don't know how long they're going to be, but
Yeah. CJ, you're welcome to join us. You don't have to, no pressure.
Ooh, thank you.
Um,
hold on just a moment.
we will hold on with all of our hearts. Yeah. This isn't going to be some sort of weird symbol, right?
I'm holding on.
Yeah.
my my science teacher used to do that, but he did
That's
hang
funny.
on, so he'd be like, "I'm hanging on."
That's funny.
Oh, that's funny.
I wonder what we're hanging on for.
Right. Oh, there was another group I was talking with. I think it's which one is it? I should plug them correctly. Yeah, Cosmere Connections. There's too many
Okay.
CCs.
Oh
But I
yeah,
was talking with
yeah.
them, and their current game plan is to like read each part and then like talk about it, and then read the next part and then talk about it. So they're like
Yeah.
holding back their reading
Yeah.
to organically talk it through together. And I was like, have fun. I can't do that.
I mean,
I'm gonna.
I think it will help me as we do that, just because like I said, I will forget all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just so much. No matter how fast you read it, it's so much information you're gonna
Mhm.
forget. And so like taking a breather to be like, okay, what do we know? Where are we going? What do we think is gonna happen? What are the questions? What are the theories? Like just
Mhm.
getting it out in the open and having something to come back to later and like, oh, that's what we were thinking at the time. I
Yeah.
think that'll just be I got a treasure to have.
That's true.
Sorry about my absence. It was rather important that I switched out the laundry. So
Oh, okay.
No fires.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or no fighting. Shakira, Shakira. Uh,
Sure.
well, that I think that brings us to the end.
indeed, I think so. At least in this episode.
Yeah. We're gonna see each other in person in like 2 days.
Indeed.
I mean, or 3 days. Isn't that
What?
crazy? Not just
Oh.
people on the internet anymore.
Yep.
I'm a lot shorter than I look, guys. I'm like 4 feet tall, so like don't be caught off guard.
I remember.
Feet tall.
I had to like get a megaphone to shout down to you.
Hello.
Hello. I was at your panel earlier.
We get there and you're like the size of a borrower. You're just like 3 inches.
Where is the yellow brick road?
Representing the Lollipop Guild over here. Okay.
We represent what is legally distinct from the Lollipop Guild. The Lollipop Guild.
Why do you remember those lyrics?
Okay.
That was good.
With that, I think we're gonna sign off. Come to booth 225. I promise
Or
we'll
die.
have fun. Or nope. Trevor does not espouse the views of
I do though, and you'll die.
Oh,
I mean, you will. Like, that's factually accurate.
Eventually. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, who
Unless
said it was a
proven
threat?
otherwise.
All right, Griff, just
We
do
will
it.
bestow mortality upon you.
come to booth 225, or else Alex will hunt you down.
Yeah. Probably.
Anyway,
Uh,
until next time, don't panic, world hoppers.
life before death, strength before weakness.
Journey.
Before Long Johns.